Hello again, everybody. I'm Steve. I'm an alcoholic in recovery. This video is going to be about my experience with step 7 of the 12 steps of recovery. Step 7 says, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. It's pretty short and sweet. The suggested reading is page 76 in the big book. It's only one small paragraph, just like step 6 was. Steps 6 and 7 in the big book are 2 small paragraphs, believe it or not. And then, of course, the other suggested reading is step 7 in the 12 and 12. So I remember when I got to step 6 and 7, before I worked them, I couldn't see the difference between becoming willing to let go of character defects and then asking a higher power to take them away. And as it turns out, there is a pretty big difference. We are simply looking at the character defects, self-centered fears that we have identified in steps 4 and 5. In step 6, we become willing to let them go. And then step 7 is simply, now that we're willing to let them go, we ask our higher power to take them away. And there's a 7th step prayer in the big book. I'm not going to recite it right now, but it's a pretty heavy one. And if you end up reading it in the big book, it's a 7th step prayer, which is basically, do with me as thou wilt, and take away my character defects so that I can better do thy will. That's what the crux of step 7 is about. And when I did it for the first time, when I worked my 7th step, it incorporated itself into my morning prayer ritual. And it's not really a ritual as much as it is, I am now still 10 years later in the habit of praying for help every single morning. In the beginning, it was just, help me stay away from a drink today. Now, years later, it's evolved into other things that have to do with, fear and situations in my life and character defects, selfishness, self-centered fears, things like that. So praying for help with those character defects started when I worked step 7 for the first time, which is, I'm self-aware about my character defects, my self-centered fears. And step 7 is simply, okay, you're praying for the first time, God, please take them away. So it's short and sweet. One of the things that makes it pretty challenging is that it requires a lot of humility. And when you read about step 7 in the 12 and 12, it's going to talk a lot about humility. And you may ask yourself, well, what is humility? Humility, to me, is being just another bozo on the bus, meaning that I don't think that I'm God's gift to the universe, the greatest man that ever lived, but I also don't think that I'm a piece of crap either. My self-esteem is right in the middle of the road. My perception of myself is right in the middle of the road, meaning that I'm just another average Joe. I do the best I can on any given day, and I'm teachable. That's what the most important aspect of humility is for me. I used to think that I knew everything, and I couldn't bear the thought of anyone teaching me something that I didn't know, because I needed to pretend to the world that I already knew everything. And that's an ego thing. Nowadays, I'm more than willing to admit that there's something that I don't know, that there's something that does know something that they can teach me. I can learn from other people's experience, and I'm happy to admit that there's something that I don't understand, or there's something that I don't know how to do that someone can teach me, and someone can share their experience with me, and I can learn from it. Being teachable. Being right-sized is another way that people describe it. Just another bozo on the bus, right there in the middle. Just an average Joe, and I'm okay with that. And that's what humility is to me. And humility, in my experience, is a big part of being self-aware, identifying character defects, and asking my higher power to remove them, which is the crux of step 7. That's my experience.